Welcome back. You're watching Signature Morning on Signature Television. Today, We are honored to have with us Senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial District. It is Dr. Victor Mome. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yes. A pleasure to have you. I mean, it's our honor. I mean, it's the first time you are coming to the station, and we really appreciate your time.
Sure.
On the busy schedule.
Sure. This is the first time I'm being here on Signature Television.
Absolutely. All right. There are a whole lot of things that are happening in the country, and the fact that you are a senator sometimes even makes it even even more difficult, because so many persons have said it's a rubber stamp Senate that we have now. Even though you are on the opposition, you are not part of the leadership of the Senate. But I just wanted to find out your thinking, your thoughts about this line of thinking with the majority part of the Nigerian populace saying this Senate is not really representing them.
I think it's the wrong assertion to make. One is that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the 10th Senate, has been doing its work marvelously well, but in the eyes of some sections of the public, not everybody will see things the same way. They may be looking forward to seeing a Senate that will be fighting with the executive every day, you know. And if you don't see the Senate fighting with the executive every day, you go away with the ordinary impression that these people are not doing anything, you know, because there is anxiety in the land. People are not happy with the way things are going, and the next thing to do is to see somebody you can, blame for what is happening. And the National Assembly naturally comes very cheap to the discerning minds to devour like a lion. You call National Assembly members names. We see all these things, and we are aware that a lot of people have expressed very hard views against the National Assembly, but they are flatly wrong, because I'm a member of the Senate, I'm a senator, and I know that this Senate and its current leadership is doing very well to address the problems of Nigerians. What Nigerians have not probably come to understand is that the Constitution has a clear separation of powers and functions. What are the functions of the executive, the legislature, and then the judiciary? If people put them in proper perspective, you will see that the National Assembly has been doing its work. Me in the Senate, I know that in the past 1 year, we have been able to tackle issues that affect our people very negatively. We've been rising up to the occasion from time to time. Insecurity, we have held a number of sessions with security chiefs, inviting them to appear before the Senate, either in a joint closed-door session or through oversight functions. When killings were on the rise in Nigeria, the first place you hear the voices of anguish has always been the Senate. And when we do this work, we go into finding ways to support the armed forces to be able to do their work effectively. We do that through approval of monies they need to be able to address these problems, holistically. Because every day you come to the Senate, there must be a point of order from one senator or the other, raising issues of national concern, matters of urgent national importance, and through that means they report very, very grave situations in their constituencies. The way people have been killed, the way people have been displaced, the way people have been maimed. So the first place you get this report to land has always been the Senate. And on the economic side, we've been very aggressive in taking those who manage the economy. We invite them, the governor of the central bank, the minister for finance, and coordinating minister of the economy. We deal with them through the various committees of the Senate. What we don't do is to come and start beating our drums. So when people feel the pangs of the hardship in the country, they turn to the Senate or the National Assembly and begin to apportion blames to them. We don't run the economy. We don't manage the economy of Nigeria. We are lawmakers, principally, and we use oversight functions to be able to bring people, close to find out why certain things are not going well. But somebody is the chief executive officer of the country, and that's the president.
Right,
He hires, he hires and directs the policies of government. So in our own case, what we have done is that we have resolved to support the government to solve the problems of the Nigerian people the best way we can. And there is nothing the President of Nigeria has brought to the Senate seeking its approval that the Senate ought to approve, that we have unreasonably withheld approval. We've approved all the appointments he has been bringing, even in some cases when people may have dissenting views in terms of balancing of these appointments. We always said, let him have those he needs to be able to govern well. Even his expectation, these are the people he finds that will help him drive the economy, drive the Nigeria, and according to his own vision, for us to have a prosperous nation. Have them. Then people will say, oh, we are rubber stamp. The Central Bank of Nigeria will bring matters before the Senate for consideration and approval. We approve. Go and drive those their visions and all that, so that you do not blame the National Assembly. So that's how the issue of being rubber stamp has come in the way of Nigerians, that we're not doing what we're supposed to do, because we're not fighting with the executive.
Yeah, there are two key issues that most Nigerians will look to and say, that's why they say it's a rubber stamp Senate. For instance, the private jet issue.
Yes.
Did the Senate approve that? And then this latest removal of fuel subsidy that has exacerbated the problems, the myriad of problems. People are not able to take transportation from one place to another. Some states have even shut down schools for resumption because of the transportation issues there. Lagos State has announced the work from home policy, and it's a state of confusion for most Nigerians. Did the Senate also approve those things?
How can the Senate approve these things you are alluding to? We are Nigerians like the ordinary people. We are not different from anybody. The issue of withdrawal of petroleum subsidy has been on. It didn't start in this 10th Senate. I was in the 8th Senate, and I know that between 2018 and 2019, if you were following the events at the Senate, you will always see me very vocally challenging some of these things going on. When the President Buhari brought a request for approval of promissory notes with which to pay debts that are accrued through the subsidy program, I was one of those who condemned the exercise, and I reasoned, not that the debts would not be paid, because there are debts Nigerian government is already owing, and the government was seeking for ways of liquidating the debts, and they decided to come by way of promissory notes that will have a long-term tenure, And I said at that time, I'm on record, both on television and everywhere, I said, we are not doing the right thing. If we continue to import petroleum products in the midst of the crude which God has given to this country, and we have had 4 refineries established in this country in the past years, and suddenly the 4 refineries were shut. If we don't do anything to reactivate those refineries, if we don't do anything to even attempt to build new refineries, that we are postponing the doomsday. That the only way I saw out of it was for Nigeria to reactivate its own refineries and begin to refine these products.
All right,
the country cannot depend on importation of products that the country can ordinarily produce. And if you continue to do that, it means that all aspects of your national economic life will be affected.
Senator,
So that is the issue about the subsidy. So we foresaw what is happening today. For one, even last year, I also spoke against it. When this subsidy was withdrawn, I said it was withdrawn rightly, because Nigeria cannot continue to wallow in this regime. People will be feeding fat, making money, buying private jets. I also said about corruption. That's why they've not been able to do anything they rely wholly on importation of this product so that they will continue to make money. And I said, it cannot continue. Yes. That as last year, I predicted that going forward, very soon, this country will get into a logjam. And this is a logjam because nothing has been done to bring our refineries back to life. You know, so the prices you are seeing today that are skyrocketing are prices that you have no control over because you have nothing to fight it. It's a situation of supply and demand, situation. If you don't have the products available locally, the prices are bound to skyrocket, particularly with the pressure we have on our foreign exchange right now.
Okay, so before we continue, we want to play some of your clips that you were speaking on some of these policies.
Oh, yes, so yes. You have them?
We have them.
Okay,
have them. So
I thought I was telling you something.
No, not at all. So please, we'll play them right now.
The approval of all and sundry, because we know that the oil subsidy regime is the source of so many problems in Nigeria. And in being a president, I wanted to please the masses and attempt to give a breathing space to the economy. He removed the subsidy. But the management of the fallout of that removal was not planned. If you don't produce, you cannot control prices. We don't refine these products in Nigeria, so there's no way we can regulate the prices of petroleum products. It's only when we are producing it that we can fix the prices and bring it down. Now, the government has, as a measure, given approval to 6 companies to bring in refined products. These are private companies that will pursue profit in their businesses. And by the time they begin to bring in this product, people will be disappointed that will not bring down the prices. Availability of the petroleum products will be the only way you can bring down prices. We'll not build refineries. In 2018, I was here in the Senate when we were asked to approve billions of naira for petroleum subsidy. I cried out that we are just postponing the doomsday. Nigeria must take out a program to build new refineries so that within 4 or 5 years, at least Nigeria would have had 1 or 2 more refineries in place. It's only when you begin to refine that you can hope to control the prices. Dangote refinery, we were hoping that will help us bring down the prices of these products that are being imported. It's going to be a pipe dream because is only one refinery and it's a monopoly. Any price he fixes, that is the price you buy the product when he begins to do that. But he has not even started. We have Warri refinery, we have Port Harcourt refinery, we have Kaduna refinery. Why can't government do something so that they will be producing small? Because if they are producing small, you add to the quantity available, and it's only when these products are available that you can bring down the prices. So 637 naira is just the beginning. Very soon we get to 800. Look at the dollar. The dollar yesterday was 822 naira. The dollar is 822 naira. So we must begin to tackle our problems from the foundation. We must produce. If we don't produce, we'll continue playing with all kinds of manipulations to control price. It's impossible.
That was Senator Victor May, Senator representing Anambra Central, giving his insights on these issues. And I'm just wondering, really, you just as you have stated, you have always had this opinion, and because you are in the opposition, it does look like you are swallowed by all of the other political parties that really don't align with your thinking. When you make this comment, and maybe opposition parties make these comments, how far does it go? What was the impact of these thoughts that are quite dissenting, quite different from what the leadership would think about these opinions?
Well, these opinions are opinions on very national issues that affect me and you and every other person. It has nothing to do whether you are in the minority in the Senate. Once you are a senator or a lawmaker, you represent a constituency. And in the chamber, you are entitled to be recognized to make your contributions towards national debates. And when we speak, like you have seen me severally during plenaries, speak very strongly against some policies of government and preferring the actions I consider necessary to be able to help Nigeria. Because at the end of the day, we are not there as a senator from Labour Party, from APC, from PDP, or any other party, NNPP, or whatever party you arrive at the National Assembly, with, you are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And your responsibility is to contribute towards resolving problems that hinder development in the nation, so that you are given opportunity to speak and you are heard. And then what you say that may be considered correct and left unattended to is no longer your fault. We speak from points of experience and from position of clear understanding of what the issues are. You just played a clip of my contributions last year when the dollar was 822 naira. Today, the dollar is 1,650 naira, already. Less than 1 year of that my speech.
It was as though you predicted
it. I saw it coming. That was what I said. That you are postponing the doomsday, because what you need to fight these soaring prices, we are not doing those things. Production. If you don't produce, there's nothing you can achieve. You are importing petroleum products, PMS, AGO, kerosene, everything from outside Nigeria. And these are things that are dependent on foreign exchange. You must pay dollar or pound sterling or foreign currency to be able to bring these things to Nigeria. And with dwindling production in oil, crude, the falling oil prices, the revenue of the country continues to shrink. And the pressures on the system economically will be monumental. So there is no way you can use magic to control the price of petroleum products that we are seeing now. When the subsidy was withdrawn last year, shortly the pump price was adjusted to 637 naira. And you heard me say that it's just the beginning. That very soon it will get to 1,000 or something more. And we're already there. The AGO were buying 1,650 naira at a point, that is diesel. From 637 naira, I said here clearly in what you listen to now, that is just the beginning. We have gone to 750, 850, 1,000, 1,250, and in some places 1,400. What is the reason? It is because we don't have these products here. We're not refining them. You are bringing them from outside. And with this deterioration in the value of the naira, anytime you bring any product from outside, the prices will be adjusted to reflect the cost of importation. So this is what we have done, because some people failed to do what they were supposed to do. And because people who are in authority, people who are managing the sector, make money out of this, very unpatriotically, they have left Nigerian people defenseless, because there's no defense to this. That's why the president and his team, they are wobbling in trying to tackle this issue, because the rot has been there for too long. If you don't start planning for the rainy day, when the rain begins to beat you, you have no shelter. And that's what Nigeria has been exposed to now, because we have nothing to fall back on. The Dangote, who has struggled to build that refinery, remember I also said in my contribution, in my speech there, that that company is nothing but a monopoly. Assuming he begins to refine, and he has started production now, and he fixes the price at 1,400 naira per liter of petrol, what defense do you have? He's the only one producing, so he must buy at his price. If he wants to be generous as a Nigerian, he can adjust the price a little downwards to be a patriotic citizen. But that is not the way to tackle the challenge. Government would have been very responsive from day one, anticipate this situation and plan for it, and ensure that we don't get into this web where we are now. The oil subsidy has been a gaping hole on Nigeria. And when it was removed, it didn't stop importation of PMS. That was what I said. When the president announced withdrawal of oil subsidy on 29th of May last year, he quickly also announced granting of licenses to 6 companies to be bringing in these products into Nigeria. Those 6 companies were given opportunity to do business, and that's what they are doing, because they're not helping us to refine petroleum products in Nigeria. They are now having resort to bringing it again from outside. So we are still the same way, the same size of the same coin. We are not making any headway. So if you ask me, instead of crying over the present situation that government appears to be helpless and everybody is complaining and crying, anytime we start is early. The government should go and find out why the refineries have not worked. Some people are sabotaging the refineries so that they will continue to sustain this importation regime of petroleum products, because that's the only sector that's working in Nigeria today. That's the only way you can make money. If you're in the oil and gas sector, you become a billionaire. That's the only way. You can build mansions and buy private jets and the rest of it. So if we want to do it, government should be able to bring the refineries back. Because our Senate is a very responsive Senate to these challenges, the Senate set up an ad hoc committee to investigate why the refineries are not working. That ad hoc committee was chaired by the late Senator Ifeanyi Uba. They went to Port Harcourt refinery, they went to Warri refinery, they went to Kaduna refinery. Because I'm an interested party, as soon as they came back, I went to him and said, is there any hope that these refineries will work? He looked at me and smiled and said, yes, there's hope that everything will work. But if you look at it, the government has been giving dates. They tell you the Port Harcourt refinery will start in July. In July, it will not be possible. August, it will not be possible. They now say September. And September today is already 11th. So government must tell itself the truth and find out those who are holding Nigeria down, the cabal. There's a cabal in the sector that is feeding fat on it, and they don't mind when all Nigerians perish. On Sunday, in Anambra State, I bought PMS, that's petrol, 1,250 naira a liter. That's what I bought. Some places they say 1,400 a liter. Sometimes scarcity of the product will make it worse. So why should a government retain a structure that is managing our oil sector in a manner that everybody is becoming hopeless and impatient? So that is it. It's not a question of the National Assembly. There's nothing anyone can do. We are lawmakers, and then turn things around. It's not going to happen overnight. But one thing that must happen is that the president must do a surgical overhaul of the petroleum sector in Nigeria. Those who have been there for too long, and they've not given anything to cheer anybody up. If people are working for you and the results have been dismal, why should they remain in office? It's only in Nigeria that nobody resigns from position. In some same climes where people have decent minds. If you are faced with a problem and you are not able to solve it in 6 months, you throw in the towel. You must go. But here everybody sits tight because of the benefits of being there. It's like asking the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria to resign. You can never see a governor of Central Bank of Nigeria resigning in Nigeria because he's the manager of the Forex. No matter how biting it is, there are openings, things he can do, and want to hold on to the position. But what everybody will ask himself is, I'm on this duty for this long while. How has my being in this office benefited the ordinary people of this country? They don't ask those questions. They don't answer them. They're there because they have been opportune to be in good positions. The managing director of NNPC, Company Limited, came into office in 2019. I remember I saw him 1 week after he was appointed. I met him somewhere, and he was introduced as the person who is going to take over from Baro, the former MD. And incidentally, because I'm very close to this system, in 2008, in the 8th Senate, I was a member of the Senate Committee on Upstream Petroleum Resources. In this 3rd Senate, I'm a member of that same committee. So I've always had my eyes on things happening in the sector. So somebody has been there for 5 years, going to 6 years, and Nigeria has not gotten any breakthrough in the sector he's heading, and he's still there. In the midst of this crisis, you want people to come and say that they're not doing well. Are they doing well? In your own judgment, prove anything for that jet to be, for the presidential jet to be purchased. There was no day you saw it in plenary or as a request from Mr. President that he wants to buy a presidential jet, and we said, go ahead. As a matter of necessity, the presidential jet is something that is needed for the president to move around. He went to China the other day. He came back. He wouldn't expect our president to board British Airways to go to China. It diminishes the dignity of the nation. So, but what you should be asking rather is, in the current economic crunch, what he has invested on purchasing that aircraft, is it justified? Could there have been another arrangement through which that can work? Nobody knows the details. It may be a wait list, and everybody is saying he bought it $400 and something million.
Are you saying that the Senate does not know the understanding between the presidents of the country and the private jet? That there's no information about the private jet?
It's not a private jet, it's a presidential jet. That presidential jet is something that services the presidency, because they move around. The president moves around, the vice president moves around. So there's a fleet called presidential fleet.
Okay.
It has always been like that. America has a Force One, with which the American president moves, Boeing 747. He uses it to go to any part of the world he wants to go to. So it's a necessity. We're just crying here because we have run ourselves aground. It's like somebody saying, oh, you are a senator, you are not entitled to use official vehicle because things are difficult. It's not the problem. The problem is how things have been mismanaged to bring Nigeria to this sorry pass. And we must begin to see things in an objective way. Because when people complain, some of these things are not necessary. I don't consider a presidential jet not necessary. There's no country that does not have a presidential fleet of aircraft. No country, no reasonable country. You know, how much more Nigeria, that is a rich country, unquote, before we ruined ourselves. So what we should be asking is, how do we do a surgical overhaul of what we're doing? How do we put things back on reverse? Because Nigeria has been on a speed lane for too long. We've been moving without check. People were doing all kinds of things. People were stealing national money without punishment. You know, it has gone like that for many governments that have gone by, and you know, it will get to a point when your wrong actions will hurt you very badly. So it is hurting Nigeria very badly now, and in this time, it is hurting us very badly. Some people are living in affluence. Some people have made so much money. I'm a member of the Senate committee that is probing ways and means. You remember, under Buhari, the government borrowed over 31 trillion naira. Call it 30 trillion. They're now saying that it was 23 trillion. Interest made it to be 30 trillion. But when the matter came up in the Senate, if you followed it, you'll see that I was one of the people who insisted that we must investigate how Nigeria accumulated such ways and means. Something the law does not permit you to borrow more than 5%, you know, of your budget. You see people spending money as if there is no regulation on it. Very good. The Senate constituted a committee to probe ways and means, and I'm a member of that Senate committee, probing the way, because of the passionate way I spoke against what has happened. We must get to the root of it. I know how we accumulated 31 trillion naira debt against this country. We've started, and we're asking them to make the documents available to us. When the documents are turned in, you start seeing all manners of things, where the president was approving, very funnily, 500 billion naira ways and means to help pay salaries as a result of COVID, fall in revenue. No details. And Buhari will sign. The Minister for Finance again will bring another request saying we need 800 billion because of need for infrastructure here and there. He will approve. No details are attached to it. That's where we are now. We have insisted that all those approvals that are accumulated to over 23 trillion naira, we must see what they were used for. And what led to that is not sufficient in a piece of paper. You write a memo to the president as the chief of staff that the government needs ways and means money of about 1 trillion naira. And the president approves, no attachments. So we want to know how these monies went down and fizzled out. So people are in possession of this money. And that is why anytime you drop the dollar in the market here, you see people who are ready to buy it at 5,000 naira. Because they have so much naira in their possession, and they are looking for dollar that is a stronger currency. That is why fighting this high cost of the dollar, pound sterling and all that, you cannot contain it. The government has tried everything, including reading below the changes to see if they can. Government is resorting to self-help now. Sometimes they go and read the below the changes. It will not solve it because people who are doing this are waiting for you. Anytime you drop the dollar, they buy it, any amount. So we are hoping that through the actions of this National Assembly, the Senate, that people are not even seeing what we are doing, we should be able to get to the critical lengths to know what people have done here in Nigeria in the past years and see how to begin to hold people accountable. Nigeria is on autopilot where nothing is dealt with decisively. Last year, the president brought a request for palliative programs to be able to cushion the effect of oil subsidy removal. We approved over 500 billion naira on that palliative program. And everybody is waiting for the money. I was one of the critical minds that said again, why are we spending this money on palliatives? How will you measure how this money will get? You say you want to pay 5,000 naira or 20,000 or 50,000 to 20 million homes and so on and so forth. Do you have the data? We don't have the database. Like America that has a very secure database, if you do a welfare program, if you want to give welfare checks to citizens, you know who the money is going to. If the government drops $100 billion, for example, you know how the money will be spent because they have a database. Here, we don't have the number of people that are vulnerable, the poor people. You want to spend money on them. You don't have their information. You don't have the government has been trying to implement this program since last year, and it has not been working. Because when you say a village woman that has no means of livelihood, you want to give the village woman money, you want his national identification number, NIN, you want his account number in the bank. Do they have bank accounts? They don't have. So the government is still struggling on how to do this, and that's why the palliative program has been failing, because there's no way of administering the funds. Suddenly we heard about how monies were diverted for something billion. A minister was suspended, another person was suspended again, and those people were waiting for government action on them. We have not seen anything. And the EFCC clamped on them, made an announcement that they have recovered 38 billion of part of the missing money. So what has happened to those who tried to divert the money? This is the way to put a country back on proper check and balance so that things will continue to work and people will have confidence in the system.
Right. Now let's talk about your party, the Labour Party. Recently, there have been issues. Abure came out to say that there is no party, there is no automatic ticket for Peter Obi, and he also mentioned Governor Oti. I don't know what your stance is regarding that. What was the issue with the meeting people had in Abia State? Because I know he had an issue with that was a null and void meeting. What's your take on that?
He had an issue with he called the meeting null and void.
He mentioned that.
You see, when I came in here, what you put under my name was former national chairman of ABGA. So it shows you that I'm very conversant with party administration.
Absolutely.
I was national chairman of ABGA for 10 years, so I understand party administration and the processes that party goes through, from time to time. The Labour Party issue is not about automatic ticket for P2B or Lex Oti or indeed any other person. It is just beyond that. It's about our party managers refusing to do what they ought to do, and time ran out on them. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if you go to section 223 of the Constitution, you will see it clearly stated there that every political party in Nigeria, for it to function as a political party, must have periodic renewal of its leadership every 4 years at regular intervals. This Constitution, you can see it section 223. You may have to read it out for people to know what the issues are. 223.
Let me help you with that, sir.
Yeah, it's here. It's here already. So let me just give you, hold it for me. Just hold it there. This Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, section 223, see. The Constitution and rules of a political party shall provide for the periodical election on a democratic basis of the principal officers and members of the executive committee or other governing body of the political party, and ensure that the members of the executive committee or other governing body of the political party reflect the federal character of Nigeria. For the purposes of this section, the election of the officers or members of the executive committee of a political party shall be deemed to be periodical only if it is made at regular intervals, not exceeding 4 years.
Okay.
This is what the Constitution says. So if you are running a party, you will know that every 4 years you will conduct democratic elections to elect your leaders at regular intervals. So in our own case, the Abure team thought that Labour Party is still the Labour Party they were having before 2023 or 2022, when people trooped in there. P2B joined the party, and because he was a very popular preferred candidate, many people moved into the party. That's how I also got into the party in 2022. It's like that across Nigeria. So many people with maturity and experience joined the party. And all of us were there with the leadership we met. There was nothing to do. And we continued. We submitted ourselves to all of them. Nobody has any ambition to, I don't have ambition to be national chairman of the Labour Party or to be a party executive. I was chairman for 10 years in ABGA, and I'm now a senator. The only thing I would desire is that the party is run well, and made that within 1 year of Abure being in office, that there shall be world congresses, local government congresses, state congresses, and the national convention to elect the national officers of the party. That settlement was arrived at and filed at the Federal High Court. And the Federal High Court, presided over by Justice Gabriel Kolawole, delivered judgment, and in those terms, that this is the judgment of the court. Abure was a signatory to that consent settlement in office. They've not done any of those things prescribed in the consent judgment. Last year, after the election in 2023, we came together. The 1 year had elapsed, actually, by the mandate. They now requested for an extension of time by 1 year because there were matters in the tribunals and all that. Very reasonable thing. The extension was granted to them. And instead of taking steps to now conduct world congresses, local government congresses, state congresses, and then convention, they now scheduled a national convention in a very secretive manner, about a week or so, or 2 weeks to the time. We started hearing there was a convention. It sent out notice that there will be convention on the 27th of March. Of course, we were worried. How could that be? There's no program for world congresses, local government congresses, and state congresses. Why should you not start with a convention? We met with the party leader, His Excellency Mr. Peter, who called us the members of the National Assembly caucus. We discussed with him and pointed out these things. I told him that you don't start from the head, you start from the tail. The world congresses you do first, you do local government congresses, do state congresses, and elect delegates to the national convention, those who will now come at the convention and elect these officers for the party. That the way this one is going is not in order. They said the convention should not hold, that there was room for more consultations. Then we traveled. I left for South Africa. I was in South Africa, and suddenly I heard there was a convention at ENUGU that Abure and his team have been returned as national officers of the party. I came back and I told them again, this is not right. I don't see how we can succeed with this, because you don't put something on nothing. The foundation is faulty, so this action will not stand, And that was it. And suddenly they started with a congress in Anambra State, just my state. They want to elect officers of the party in Anambra State, And I said, how can you be doing Congress only in Anambra State? Congresses are a nationwide program. The party draws a timetable. All states of the federation will follow it. The party will do world congresses on a particular day, like you see what PDP has been doing. You must do it the same day. Local government congresses must be the same day nationwide. State congresses must be the same day nationwide. Then national convention. You say you want to do in Anambra. I said, why are you doing Anambra alone? I put these questions because I know that these things were not proper. So finally, because they didn't do any of these things, INEC was watching them. INEC did not monitor their convention. And of course, some people protested, both the NLC and all that. They wrote letters to INEC and all that. INEC reviewed the process and found it to be standing on nothing, and declared that Labour Party has no national leadership, to the extent that in June 2024, the INEC had meeting with political parties through their leaderships, and our supposed chairman, Abure, went to INEC, and INEC asked him to leave, that he's not chairman because his tenure has expired, and he did not do anything lawful to renew his tenure. It was at that stage that what I was telling them earlier on, about 5 months earlier, came to dawn on them. And they were struggling with it, trying to shop for court order and all that. INEC is adamant, and just about, they do governorship election by the corner. INEC called political parties again to come and discuss the way forward for Ondo and the Edo governorship election. They didn't invite Labour Party. We were not represented in the meeting. Other parties were there. We were all watching, Then the INEC called for agents to be submitted for the governorship election in Edo. The Abura and his team collected names and said the INEC shut them out. They are not officers of the party. So the party has no agents for this forthcoming governorship election. Our governorship candidate, the law is that the candidate and the party will submit list of agents. So it's only our candidate who has now submitted his own list of agents. The party does not have. So it is as the host. 5 out of the 6 senators Labour Party has were there. The one who wasn't there didn't come because she was not available. Then House of Reps, so many of them came. I saw someone who called himself as legal advisor to the Labour Party on television 2 nights ago, saying that only 3 House of Reps members came. From ENUGU State here alone, Obeta from Nsukka, he was there. Okatu from ENUGU South and North. Sunday Umeha was there for Udi and Ezago Federal Constituency. 3 alone from Enugu State. And the man said only 3 people came. There were people from Anambra, Abia, the host state. So over 20-something members of the House of Reps were there. Remember that this is a vacation period. Many people have even traveled overseas. So on that short notice, House of Assembly members, over 20-something members of the House of Assembly were there, plus other critical stakeholders. So the whole party came together and decided to serve the party. And the only way out of it is to put up a caretaker committee that will now conduct these congresses, which they failed to conduct, and put the party back on stream. So what we have done is that we have come together to rescue the party, create a leadership that is temporary. They were given mandate for 180 days. Incidentally, I'm one of the senators in the caretaker committee. I'm there just them with my experience, because if they had listened to me when they were on this Fox Park, they wouldn't have got into this ditch. They were narrow-minded. They were not seeing what the law says. And now they are now questioning the constitutionality of our action. They cannot question it because they're not in place. If you're not in place constitutionally as leaders of the party, how can you challenge anybody? They lack the powers to question anything because they're no longer officers of the party by a fraction of time. They left their tenure to wind up without doing anything to put in a succeeding leadership. Even if they desired to continue, they would have followed the leadership that would drive the party. And that's what we have come to do. And we have done that 29-member caretaker committee, approved, led by former Minister of Finance, Senator Nenade Esther Usman from Kaduna State, with Senator Darlington Nwokocha from Abia State as secretary. So the public should be able to understand what we're actually doing. We are trying to put our ship back to sail because we are just docked now, motionless. And we cannot continue like that. Time does not wait for anybody.
Thank you very much, Senator. It has been wonderful having you here to discuss some of these issues. Yeah. Of course, we would have wanted to discuss more, but because of time, we'll have to go. Thank you very much, sir.
So I'm happy to be here. Anytime you call upon me, I'll be here to share my thoughts on national issues. But what I want to conclude with is that I want to say the National Assembly is doing its work. There are clear separation of powers by the Constitution. People should not lump executive function on the legislative function. We are lawmakers. We don't direct. We make laws and ensure that the laws are executed and implemented. Through oversight functions, we steer up the executive arm to action. So when we resume next week, I know that topical issues will be the current situation in the oil sector, high prices, because we are, most politicians are populists. They want to be on the side of the Nigerian people. And when we come back, I know that those issues will be tackled. They should understand. If they understand it, they will be patient with the National Assembly. We are lawmakers, we are not the executive. And so long that is clear separation of powers, we will continue to act as gadfly to get the executive to meet the expectations of the Nigerian people. Where there is need for money to be appropriated, we have appropriated money. We've approved all the budgets sent to us by Mr. President. There is nothing he has asked us to do to help him succeed that we have not done. So the blame should not come to us, but it is a work in progress. All of us shall work together, both the National Assembly, the executive, and the citizens, because the citizens have forgotten their own role. Their own role is not by passing blame and shouting. The country is their own. If they see anybody who is not doing the right thing on his seat, they should call for the sack of that person. Because I chair the Senate Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organizations, the civil society organizations in Nigeria are under my oversight. And all the summits I've held with them in the past few months, I've told them that they're failing the Nigerian people. It's not the lawmaker that will come and tell government that there's a criminal in the government. It's not our duty. We make the laws, and if you see somebody who is undermining government and by extension undermining Nigeria and its citizens, you shout. That's what civil society organizations should be doing. So this is what it is, and I'll conclude with the arrest of Joe Ajaero, the NLC president.
Right.
Incidentally, in the past few days or weeks, I've started seeing what we saw during the military regime, where leaders, labor leaders, civil society organizations are being clamped down on. The president should not allow this thing to continue. This should not be the way out. The labor leaders are agitating for improved working conditions for the workers, enhanced salary, in the face of biting inflation and what we are seeing now. They can't go to work. So because time is finished. So what I'm saying is that the citizens should also rise to their responsibilities, so that together we'll be able to smoke out the wrong people in government.
Thank you very much,
and then get Nigerian state on a steady path.
Thank you so much, Senator.
The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, Central Bank of Nigeria, and other key financial institutions will address the impact of the current recapitalization on the real sector at the 2024 Finance Correspondents Association of Nigeria FICAN conference scheduled for September 28th to 29th. Themed Nigeria's Journey Towards a 1 Trillion Economy, the event will feature industry leaders including NDIC's MD Hassan Bello and UBA's CEO Oliver Aluwaba. Discussions will focus on the opportunities for fintechs and the role of recapitalization in economic growth, a key policy that banks must comply with by 2026. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has raised concerns over the federal government's proposed ban on single-use plastics, which is scheduled to take effect in January 2024. MAN warned that this move could result in job losses, particularly in industries that heavily rely on the production, packaging, and sales of these plastics. The association called for investments in recycling infrastructure and highlighted the need for adequate preparation to mitigate the impact on small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. Chilarams PLC in Nigeria, a conglomerate known for its dairy products, reported a 3 billion naira loss for the financial year ending March 2024, primarily due to the devaluation of the naira. This sharp decline comes in contrast to the 4.9 billion naira profit recorded the previous year. The company attributed the loss to a net exchange loss of 2.7 billion naira, up from 121 million naira in the previous year. As the Central Bank of Nigeria raised interest rates to combat inflation and stabilize the naira, companies like Chilarams have struggled with rising operational costs and unfavorable exchange rates. Operations at Samsung Electronics plant in southern India were disrupted for the second consecutive day as hundreds of employees went on strike to demand higher wages. The strike occurring at the Kanchipuram factory in Tamil Nadu is a key growth market where it competes with companies like LG Electronics. The ongoing strike puts pressure on Samsung to quickly resolve the dispute as prolonged disruptions could affect its market dominance. Apple has officially launched its iPhone 16, positioning the device as a major leap in AI technology. The new model, equipped with the A18 chip, is up to 30% faster than its predecessor and designed from the ground up for AI-enhanced features. Apple CEO Tim Cook said that the iPhone 16 will transform the way users interact with their devices, offering smarter capabilities and improved camera control through side-mounted functions. The iPhone 16 starts at $799, while the iPhone 16 Plus is priced at $899. Just hours after Apple unveiled its iPhone 16, Huawei launched its $2,800 three-fold smartphone, the Mate X, in China. Featuring a unique three-way folding mechanism, the phone has already acquired 3.6 million pre-orders. This move further cements Huawei's dominance in the Chinese market and represents a challenge to Apple's presence in the region. The Mate X is priced between 19,999 to 23,999 yuan, depending on storage capacity. Nigeria's ongoing foreign exchange crisis is putting multi-million-dollar data center investments at risk. Operators are struggling to secure funding for these infrastructure-heavy projects as the naira's instability discourages foreign investment. Local banks have been reluctant to finance long-term data center projects, leaving operators with limited options to expand their operations. Industry experts warn that this could severely hinder Nigeria's potential as a hub for digital services, especially as demand for reliable data storage solutions continues to rise. At the end of the trading session on Tuesday, September 10th on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, over 400 million shares were traded in 12,240 deals, corresponding to a market value of 11.42 billion naira. Compared to the previous trading day on Monday, September 9th, there was a 48% decline in trading volume and a 22% drop in turnover, and an 18% increase in the number of deals. The market capitalization now stands at 55.6 trillion naira. A total of 117 listed equities participated in the trading, with 31 gainers and 19 losers. Sky Shelter Fund led the gainers with a 9.98% increase, closing at 163 naira 15 kobo per share. RT Briscoe followed with a 9.93% gain. Carverton Offshore Support Group rose by 9.77% and McNichols increased by 8.89%. On the downside, Learn Africa saw the largest decline, dropping 9.69% to 3 naira 73 kobo per share. Other losers included the Initiates with a 6.77% drop, Japan Gold and Ventures down by 6.67%, and ICO Insurance falling by 4.39%. Oando recorded the highest trading volume with 58.5 million shares, followed by Access Holdings with 30.4 million shares, Japan Gold and Ventures with 28.8 million shares, and FBN Holdings with 20.9 million shares. And that's it on Signature Business Morning News. I am Thompson Natus.
You go to some of our public institutions, because you want to say tuition is free, the laboratories are almost empty. So when you pay money, just like an investor, when you pay, you ask for value. When you see buses in the nation's capital, buses are designed to take 50 passengers. Sometimes you have about 110, 120. That's because they are highly subsidized and free. For me, subsidy, yes, but free, highly no. It shouldn't be free. And this is the only way to be honest, because we're preaching about sustainability. If it is free, we can't sustain it.
If masses are going to be paid, it has to be in a subsidized amount of money. Let the government subsidize it, because major thing we are facing now is a problem of transportation, the high cost of transportation. All of us move from one place to the other, goods and services move from one place to the other, but when the cost for transporting goods and services to where it is needed is highly expensive, it will affect the price of goods and service itself.
Let Innocent produce buses for Nigeria, electric buses, and let them be carrying people all over 100 naira. Nigerians can afford it. 100 naira. Even if from here to Gawalada, 100 naira. From Ketu in Lagos to Victoria Island, 100 naira. If they do that, the buses, the distance will reduce. You understand me? You set up a charging point where they can go and charge their buses. Like in Lagos now, they have a depot for the buses. Let them go there and charge the buses and be carrying people 100 naira. It will reduce the economy.
A state like Ebonyi State budgeted 68 million to buy SUVs for their state House of Rep members. So if that can be budgeted, state like Benue, Governor Ilya was saying the budget for House of Rep members to acquire a car is 60 million. That means Nigeria is wealthy. I think transportation can be made free, but I don't think these people that are making money from this would like to stop right now. The transport sector is a huge sector of the economy, but then the everyday increase in prices, remember, has not made people to be happy about the transport sector.
Coincidentally, if the governor can instruct the director or the manager of any transport state corporation that any citizen, not only even their citizen, any person that come to their office that are looking for assistance of the transportation from their state to another state, or interstate or intrastate, they should be giving them, consider them free or complimentary board ride of transportation from point A to point B. The lower people, the less privileged, the state government should make it, and students, the old people, they should make it free to them.
Really affecting. Like if you can see people moving over there, everybody are trekking, they cannot enter transport because of the cost of transport and all that. People go a long distance, 1 mile, 2 mile trekking because of no money. And not only that, a lot of criminal and all that. I know I have lost out to 4 phone where I was trying to see how I can get a cheaper car, because where I want to go, then charge me a lot to take me to that place. The first day I lost my phone, second time I lost my phone. And it's because of hungry, that is why those boys increase in robbery.
Abuja is not working very effectively. You know. Then the government should look into it and provide more. And they can go to countries, other countries, developed countries, go there and get there. They know what to do, and they bring it down the price. And they also consider the pass also, because the former one, the urban mass, many of them packed now in the garage. They are not working. And they ask, this one has a small issue, this one has a small issue. Which day are they going to visit? So the government needs to sit up to put these things in order.
That is voices from the streets, where people express their opinion about different policies of the government. From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Nasiru Usman, reporting for Signature TV.